Hey everyone, this is Amber from Classy Crow Jewelry, and today I want to talk to you about mid-century Japan jewelry. So, after getting my first piece of Japan jewelry, I immediately fell in love and started researching. And one of the things that I found that I thought was surprising is there's not a lot of history on Japan jewelry prior to World War II. And the reason for that is because they saw beauty as functional. So the pieces that they had that they would wear would be like this comb, which is called kushi, and you can see how beautifully designed it is. They would also carry what are called inro boxes, which, since the traditional kimonos did not have pockets, inro boxes are where they would keep their small possessions, and it would hang from a belt, and then they would kind of hide it behind the sash. And so beauty had a function in Japan prior to World War II. Then after World War II, they started to look to the West and see their influences for their jewelry, and they started wearing jewelry more like the Western world. These are two pieces in my collection that I really love. I think these are two of my favorites. Absolutely love the colors. And looking at these pieces, you can definitely tell that this fits into the 50s and 60s jewelry aesthetic here in America. And so there are two real time periods that you're looking at for mid-century Japan jewelry. The first is 1945 to 1952. So right after the war during occupied Japan, and you will see made in occupied Japan. Most commonly you see this mark on ceramics, but you can actually find it on jewelry as well. I do not have a piece of jewelry that says made in occupied Japan. I wish I did. If I did, I would be really excited because, for one thing, it is kind of rare. And so I do believe it would be very valuable. Most of what I have is on the mark on the right, and this is 1950s to 1960s. Many of the pieces have a shepherd's hook clasp with Japan stamped right on it. And what I have found is mainly Japan, although it could also say made in Japan. Now, you can't really talk about Japanese jewelry without talking about pearls. And the most well-known pearl designer is Mikimoto. And a Mikimoto necklace would probably be valued at anywhere between $3,500 and $10,000. So I wish that's something I could collect, but it is not. So instead, I collect the costume jewelry, and you can get a mid-century faux pearl necklace marked Japan for $10 to $50. Sometimes some of the prices are a little bit higher than that, but most of them are going to be in that price range. And so these are three very different faux pearl necklaces that I have in my collection. The first being a single strand of very small pearls. The second being a more graduated triple strand. And then, of course, we have the double strand, two color pearl necklace, all very beautiful. So this was my very first Japan piece. This is what started it all for me. And I immediately fell in love with it. And one of the things that I love so much about mid-century Japan necklaces is how they just lay so beautifully. And that's really accentuated in this piece with the ombre colors. And I just absolutely love it. Another thing that you'll notice about Japan necklaces is you often see multiple textures. So in these two necklaces, you will see the satin beads, you will see acrylic beads, your faux pearls, but then you also have those acrylic pieces that almost look like glass. So lots of texture in Japanese necklaces. And the other is the color. I love the calm, natural colors in Japanese necklaces from the mid-century. And if you look at these, I love that muted kind of gold color. And then you also have that metallic brown, really pretty natural colors. They look so elegant, always. Here are two more pieces. On the left, again, is some of those satin beads. On the right, you see some beads with the color that you associate with Japan a lot, which is red. And I love that. The natural look with that red highlight is really amazing. And then, I was telling you that most of the necklaces I have a shepherd's hook clasp. However, sometimes I do find Japanese necklaces from that time period with box clasps. They usually have some kind of faux pearl cluster box clasp, but you can see that Japan mark on the back of that. And I also put in here a picture kind of showing a close-up of those beads. I just love those beads with it almost looks like a glitter inside. And you would think that that could really make it look cheaper, but this still looks very elegant. Again, I love that piece a lot. So, as I said, I'm getting pretty good at identifying Japan pieces, and every once in a while, though, I'll come across one that I'll think is Japan, and it is not. And oftentimes it is Hong Kong. And so this is a Hong Kong piece, has a shepherd's hook, and its mark is on the shepherd's hook, just like the Japan. You see the triple strand necklace, the graduated beads, different textures. It looks very much like a Japan piece, but this one is actually Hong Kong. And then things changed a little bit in the 70s to 80s, and you can see a huge style difference. So the necklaces are much longer, single strand. In fact, I'm actually wearing this one right now. The one on the right, I'm actually wearing right now. And you can see instead of having that shepherd's hook clasp or the box clasp, you're now to a spring ring clasp, but you still have that Japan mark attached with that spring ring clasp. Another thing I have in my collection are Japan earrings, and I love finding Japan earrings as well. You see a lot of cluster earrings. I've got a brooch there as well. The cluster earrings I love when I find those in good condition. They used a very thin wire to sew in those clusters, and we have found some that the wire ends up being really brittle, and it almost like just disintegrates and falls apart in your hand, which is really sad when that happens. So I love finding intact earrings that don't have that issue. And then you can see the backs of the earrings. We've got two types of earrings here. We have our clip-on earrings, and you can see the Japan marks on the back there. But then we also have the screw back earrings. I think those screw back earrings might actually be earlier earrings, possibly even from the 20s or 30s. That's when they started using screw back earrings. But you notice another thing that tells me that they might be from the 20s to 30s is they're not ornate. They are very simple, which would be more like what the jewelry was back then. So that's my collection. And I hope you enjoyed learning just a little bit about mid-century Japanese jewelry. And you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, and eBay. In fact, now that this video is done, I will probably be putting some of those pieces up on eBay. I'm not sure which ones yet. I do want to keep a few, but you'll have to just go to Classy Crow Jewelry on eBay and find out which ones I post and maybe get one for yourself. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.